I think there is a true, a very large call to action, particularly around labour rights. I thought it was quite like you said. And I think it's something society as a whole really needs to be focusing on. Clearly, the pandemic and now moving to endemic, if you like, has made us all think about our wider community and all our different touch points because we live in a community. Now, as clearly we've seen technology evolve, and there is a great deal of innovation allowing us to actually engage the public better, increase our services. But as we grow and move to a more equitable, if you like, a more equitable world, I think that is a call to action, clearly. Could you share with us a little of what CIMB is doing in that space? Because I know you do a lot.
Yeah, thanks again. So just now we were talking about minimizing effectively the negative impact. So the other element effectively is all about maximizing the positive impact. And so this is where we have really developed what we call our green, social, sustainable impact products and services framework to aggressively expand our sustainability business. Now, this includes coming out with innovative, sustainable products such as sustainability-linked loans and ESG Suko, coming out effectively with innovative, I think, consumer-based sustainable products, whether it's promoting ESG unit trust funds in wealth management, encouraging probably solar panel effectively adoption and providing financing for that within the consumer market. Also services like Greenpeace Ready. We actually have a SME-based effectively Greenpeace Ready services to promote effectively the adoption of sustainable funding effectively within this particular space. So these are effectively probably the more exciting because, as I mentioned, the demand for sustainable effectively products and loans and financing will really escalate for the immediate future. So for that, I think we have increased our own target sustainable finance commitment from 10 billion that we actually announced a couple of years ago to 30 billion by 2024. This shows that I think that we have garnered more confidence in our ability to really expand and provide financing and investment solution within effectively the sustainable space. In terms of the, I call it employee or the community welfare, and I think we can't avoid mentioning it, that we are really still in the midst of a resurging pandemic, even though hopefully this will be addressed and mitigated soon. The impact effectively on the pandemic on the community, I think, is significant. So we recently, I think probably about 3 weeks ago, launched effectively a community kita CSR program where we allocated 10 million ringgit to really help those whose life have been affected by the pandemic. We are going to commit 150 million ringgit over 5 years span into effectively in CSR spending, but more importantly also commit that annually our employee will invest 100,000 outside work, anything that basically that will impact lives, communities and business. So Wallet to us basically is not just about the funding. The funding is extremely important, but also I think it's the commitment of time that I think CIMB employees should basically and will put in terms of improving or addressing and helping effectively our community. Now, being in financial services, I guess we can't avoid what we call financial inclusion, because I truly believe effectively that ESG is not just about the environment. It's also about effectively helping community really achieve what we call economic inclusion. And that's extremely important because we can't solve the environment work without effectively the S, the inclusion, effectively the social economy part. So that I think we continue, I think not just in Malaysia, but across the region, particularly at Philippines, whereby we have started effectively a fully digital bank whereby our focus is really to serve the underserved community. And financial inclusion is extremely important. We have been able to actually to acquire more than 3 million individuals. Our deposit level there is also basically have increased to about 1 billion, and we have actually launched what we call micro loan financing to the effectively to the consumer, the underserved effectively consumer market there. Now this is something that we are looking at how we can roll out this also in Malaysia, particularly working with our Touch and Go digital subsidiary, whereby effectively we help to actually to increase effectively financial inclusion to the Malaysian community, which I'm sure you know for so long has been, I guess, underserved, and they basically had to rely to alongs and other means of effectively of financing. So being able to serve this underserved community is extremely important, and educating, I think, more and more Malaysian in terms of financial literacy is extremely important as part of the so-called as part of the sustainability agenda.
Oh, thank you. I mean, clearly, there are so many things that CIMB is looking at as a group and making a very positive impact. But as we know, investors and stakeholders really look towards accountability and transparency, and there's so many different initiatives ongoing. How do you tackle it, for want of a better term? It must be very challenging.
Challenging, but I think we are very pleased. I think because we started the journey early. I think there are two ways how we track and how do we make sure that all these different initiatives are robustly tracked and monitored. First, we have a robust governance framework. We have a fully resourced sustainability division closely monitored by our group chief sustainability officer. Now, we recognize, I think the tone from the top is extremely important. So our board has just formed a dedicated board committee, a group sustainability and governance committee, which comprise really board members from our holdings board to really oversee and drive effectively the sustainability agenda and initiatives that we do. So the committee tracks effectively and monitor the progress that we are making. We are accountable to that. Management is accountable to that. And then we then embed effectively to ensure that this is executed. We ensure that sustainability is part of the CIMB Group's collective scorecard. So this for our whole organization, but as well as part of the senior management KPI. So even my own KPI, a portion of my KPI is linked to effectively to sustainability. So that I believe is the first thing, having very clear targets, very clear tracking mechanism, and a very clear, I call it linking it to rewards and effectively compensation is also extremely important to ensure that we deliver and we execute. Second part, I think you have highlighted, and this is, I think, one area that still all of us needs to improve on as an industry as well as effectively as corporate, is effectively on the rigor and transparency and standardization in reporting. So I think we are committed on full public disclosure on the progress of the targets and commitments that we have set out, especially that on matters that are important for us as an organization. So for instance, the climate change target, the diversity and inclusion and sustainable finance. Then the next step is really also to try to work and improve the reporting standards. So this is where I think we need to actually make sure that we enhance the quality of our reporting so that we can aspire to be fully aligned with the task force on climate, for instance, task force on climate related financial disclosure by 2023. So we know that basically imposing the standards will make sure that we are very more strategic and structured effectively in our approach. And I think we are probably one of the few organizations in Malaysia that have really said that, look, at the end of the day, how we overall measure our progress in this sustainability agenda. So we have set effectively a target, and this is based on Dow Jones Sustainability Index, We said by 2024, we want to be a top quartile organization. This is basically on a global basis within the financial industry. The journey when we started, we were probably on the 20th percentile, but by last year, we are already hitting 65 percentile. So I think we still have some work to actually to do. But this kind of framework or effectively indices allows us to benchmark ourselves and identify what are the areas we need to do. And at the same time, at the end of the year, assess whether we are on track to deliver the commitments that basically that we have set ourselves to do.